Hello and welcome to this video. My name is David Thorne, and in this video we're going to be talking about switch statements. Now before you run away, I'm using Swift, but switch statements are exactly the same in any programming language that you use. Some don't have semicolons, some do have semicolons, some don't use the break, some do use the break, and so on, but the concept is exactly the same. So why would you use a switch statement over an if-else-if statement? Right, first of all, it's easy to read than the equivalent if-else statement. It's nice and structured, and you can see exactly which scenario you're handling in all of the code. It's easy to debug as well. Rather than having lots of if, else, if statements and so on, you have a switch case statement, and you know that it's going to come there. And the first time, yeah, it's just cleaner. If something is cleaner and easy to debug, it's easier to maintain as well, which means that if you do need to update your code, you know exactly where it is going to be. You can comment on it and say, this piece of code is going to happen. So now there could be some other things about that is faster execution time and so on, but I'm not getting into that. So let's come over to my example here. Now what we have here is a variable, and that is a type string, and it has the value of David. Now we're saying switch person to work out which person it is. Now as you can see on line 5, we've got case David. Now in this situation, that's doing nothing more than saying if person, the string, is equal to David, the literal string, then we're going to come here. Now I've written the break keyword in this scenario because in JavaScript, for example, you've got to give a break statement, otherwise it will continue on. So that's something to be aware of. It's just good practice to add the break statement. I wouldn't add the break statement in Swift because I know that it doesn't need it. But if you're new to switch statements, to make sure that you don't have any bugs in your code, then better, if you're unsure about it, add the break statement. Break statement means, in this situation, if person is equal to David, run this code, and once you've run this code, break out of this switch statement. So do not go on. Do not continue on to the next case statement, all right? Now, if person is not equal to David, then it will continue on to the next case statement. It won't just pick anyone in random. It will move on to the next one and say case James. Well, in this scenario, David is not equal to James, so it wouldn't come here. Now, if we change it to Sarah, for example, then it was going to skip over case David. It's going to skip over case James, and it doesn't have anywhere to go. Now, the default statement is essentially the else statement in an if, else, if statement, meaning that everything else is going to happen just here. Now, in this scenario, there could be multiple other variants that the switch statement could handle. So that's why we need a default statement. And nearly all compilers will all moan at you for not handling all of the cases. So what is another example of a switch statement where, so let's just say a variable is correct in this situation, right? And this is going to be true, right? And we're going to say switch is correct. And now we know that there's only two statements here that can be handled. It's true and false. So we can say case true and case false. So now we can say the answer is, oh, the answer here is true. If it is correct, then false. And then answer, what's it? What's that? Wrong one. The answer is false. The answer is true. So as you can see that we're handling the code now based upon, and just to stop this moaning, I'm going to put a break statement. Yeah, and now as you can see that this code is separated into if the answer is correct or it's not correct. It's a lot clearer than having if is correct, else. It can be that you forget to write the else statement for it, and it's a way of forcing you to write all of the different cases it's going to be. Now, there's also another scenario where if you're using a language that has enums, for example, then you can also have like types. So case dog, case cats. And here we can now, this is a perfect scenario for a switch statement. So case, so we can say type is equal to types, and we'll say cats. So switch type, and this situation is perfect because we can say case cat and case dog. Now here we've handled both scenarios, both cases of what it can only be, right? It can't be anything else. Now if you're using a language like Swift or Java or Kotlin and so on, your compiler's going to moan at you if you do something like this. Say case horse. Right now the compiler is going to say, hey, you haven't handled, like it is here, you haven't handled all the different cases that it could be, so you've got to now implement another case. And else if statement wouldn't do that, right? You would now be implementing bugs into your code. So by using a switch statement instead, you're making sure that the compiler helps you when you add more types in it. And if you've got this types in a central location, you know that you've used it 20 plus times, the compiler is going to tell you where you've got to change your code. Now, it would be very, very silly of you, in this case, to throw an error, for example, here. Because, well, if you know in the future you're going to add more types, you want to know where your code's going to crash. But I don't like this because now you won't know where the code's going to crash until it does crash. But if you left it out, then you would have to refactor your code if you added a new type in this situation. Anyway, enough rambling on. I hope you've got a better understanding now of what switch statements do in programming. My name's David Thorne. If you like the video, press the like button. If you've got anything to comment about, write it in the comments and so on. And if you didn't like it, press the dislike button. I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a blocked up nose right now, so I don't feel that good. But anyway, that's it. Thanks very much for watching, and I wish you a nice evening.